Hello, everybody. Joe Compton here. Welcome to Going Announced This Week in Indies for May 16th, 2021. I've got a great show ahead for you. We've got an incredible group to talk about helping writers out, and then we're going to do an indie connection comic book style this week. The CL Cannon went a little bit avant-garde. And speaking of avant-garde, we've got our This Week in Indies look at some things that are just coming out, and I did a little review in there. So enjoy that, and we'll be right back with the rest of the show.
A Maryland man has been walking across the country since last year.
9,000 kilometers, 5,800 miles? It's a lot of lonely road out there.
They lose part of themselves when they go to war, and we just hope that we can help them get all those pieces and parts back together.
I don't think we're looked at as patriots or heroes. I think we're looked at as damaged goods.
Once you're home, you think it's over. It's just beginning.
You go off to war and you're going to be asked to do unspeakable things. To think that you just went over and did your job, that's pretty ignorant.
Most people, they look at PTSD and they see weakness. It's a survival mechanism. It's what the situations that we were in over there demanded us to behave in a different way.
No one else knows what we went through but them.
Not being able to see these guys or not knowing how they're doing, you tend to lose it. It's hard to communicate.
I was very angry very quickly. And I didn't have any control over where my mind was going or what I was thinking about, and I couldn't stop them from happening.
When John comes, he carries the grief too, but it's like, I'm not the only one. Like, I can share it with him.
These are strong individuals. They're not victims. They're survivors.
And I'm going to add one more to our new releases this week. It is a new release. It's only been out a few weeks, and it is from a collection I love. I have read both of the books that are out right now, and now I've read the short story that accompanies it. Actually, I haven't read the other short story that was released last year or earlier this year, but I will get to that for sure. But it's by an author I think is uber talented, and she really proves it with this one right here. CHRISTIE STRATOS' The Artist. I just finished it. I literally just finished it last night, and it is absolutely brilliant. It is an amazing, amazing tour de force in words, in setup, in 3-act structure. CHRISTIE is, if Jane Austen and Edgar Allan Poe were to have birthed a literary child, I think that name would have been CHRISTIE STRATOS. She straddles the line of this incredible, enriching environment and era of the Victorian era, with subtle Victorian customs and very well designed, researched authenticity of that era that gives this creepiness and very just brooding, weird sense of misadventure, of malcontent, deceit and terror in some respects. This one is a little bit more subtle in that respect, but it is very, very enriching. And this one is more of the mystery elements to it, and it has a nice little twist. It has a very, very well defined way in which it approaches. You're kind of seeing it through the character's eyes, but then you're seeing like the perspectives of each of them as they kind of go through the motions. It's basically about a woman who answers a man's call to be a caretaker, be a companion, so to speak, and the expectations of both are kind of layered within this meeting and this almost job interview-ish kind of idea. It's very, very cool and very, very coy, and she's just sharp with words. I mean, she is razor sharp, and she stings you. I mean, this is the opening line, everybody. I'm going to read you the opening line because it's just... All right. So it's Mary Grant's journal, April 8th, 1867. How does one paint the sweet smell of flowers on the wind better than any perfume one can buy? How does one paint the inside of heartbreak and sorrow, the truth of its depths and its impact? I mean, if that doesn't just want you to soak right into 49 pages of just all of that, I don't know what will. I mean, it's just so brilliant. And, you might say to yourself, well, I'm not a big Victorian era guy, historical fiction guy, gal. I'm not a very, short stories, whatever, kind of thing. But I'm telling you, I read this in a night. If I could read this in a night, it probably takes most people a half hour to an hour. This took me probably 3 or 4 hours, to be honest. But I was absorbing a lot of it. I do like to absorb, and I also like to kind of go through and absorb the twist as well. I'm not going to tell you if I figured it out or didn't figure it out or anything like that. That's not the point here. The point is, though, however, this is a wonderful and phenomenal story written in a collection that I think is absolute stellar, starting with Anatomy of a Darkened Heart, which I think is not only one of the best historical fiction books I've ever read, but one of the best books I've ever read, period. I've said it time and time again. I said it on Friday night, and I have told CHRISTIE that many, many times. I'm very fortunate to know the author, but I can tell you her talent is immense, and I cannot wait for book 3, and I cannot wait for more from this collection. And if you haven't gotten into it, now's the time. I think start with Anatomy and work your way through the rest of it. I think you'll really, really enjoy it. There's some little nods here and some Easter eggs too that I really enjoyed and got me chuckling and smiling. But with that said, enjoy the rest of the show. All right, everybody, welcome back and welcome to the roundtable discussion for May 16th. I do want to say one quick thing before we get to our awesome panelists here this morning. If you want to know more about Bastards Road, which was the first trailer that was shown in the in this little vignette that we just did, I did post a review on our blog, which is our freshbutteredpopcorn.com. And I've posted a review of that movie there. I will also be doing a review later on today of a very, very one of my all-time favorite bands, and a ska band that is putting out their 11th album. They're really the grandfathers of ska. The Mighty Mighty Boss Tones released a brand new album, and I've been doing a track-by-track review of that album. A little bit later, that will be posted on the blog. I was planning on doing it this morning, but how time just gets away from you. But I will do after the show and then post it immediately after. So if you're interested in a brand new album from who I think is one of the greatest bands to ever be around, you want to check that out as well. Also, I want to mention that Konn Lavery is going to be my guest on Spotlight later on in the week as well. So you'll get to hear more about his book, Rave, which is the other trailer that you saw there. And I'm really, really excited to have two of my favorite people here. I'm going to do this so that you all together.
Oh, there we are.
I want you guys to be the center squares there. So I really appreciate it. So we had some people not come up today, but that's all right because I couldn't have asked for two better people to join me anyway. So I'm real excited for that. We'll have them introduce themselves. You should know them by now. They've been here quite a bit. That's all right.
Old hats. We're OG. Yeah.
It's always nice to introduce them anyway, and so that you all can remember where to go get their great literature, because they do write some incredible stuff. And I'm real excited to. I have Abnormal is coming up on my list. It's almost there. I got two more books to get through, and then Abnormal will be up. So that probably be at the end of the year. Amy, just the way I read. And then I've actually bumped up your Jake. I can't say his last name.
Ishtenheji. Yeah, Ishtenheji.
Yeah, I've bumped up the very first book of that one. So that one's going to be pretty soon as well. So
cool.
I'll post retro reviews on both of those books when I do finish them, so that you have that. But that being said, AJ, why don't you start us off and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm AJ Mullican, author of dystopian sci-fi, paranormal romance, and other things. And I'm really glad to be here again.
Nice. Welcome. Thank you for being here. All right, Nikki.
Hi, I'm Nikki Nelson Hicks, and I'm a writer of weird fiction. I write a lot of either horror or pulp, some steampunk, sci-fi, basically whatever you want me to write. If you give me a contract, I'll write it. That's about it. Yeah, you can find my books at nnhbooks.com or on Amazon. I'm pretty much everywhere.
What's the weirdest thing somebody's asked you to write that you've actually followed through it and written?
Oh, well, okay, the weirdest thing... Okay, I used to have a Patreon, and on my Patreon, I used to have this thing called either Keyboard Assassin or Keyboard Hero. You pay me $25, and I will write you as a story, as a hero, or I'll kill you. And amazing, most people want me to kill them, which is weird. But the deal is, one time I got a person who wanted me to be a keyboard hero, and I'm like, it's great. Okay, cool. What do you want to be? What hero do you want to be? What do you want to do? She's like, oh no, it's not for me. It's for my friend. I want you to write a story about her son who just died.
Oh.
Okay, so her son just died of cancer. Her 12-year-old son just died of cancer. Oh yeah, and I'm going to present this story to the mom on her birthday at the party.
No pressure.
No stress. No. So I did not. I mean, I did it, of course, but I did not stop at the whole 1,500 words. I made that thing as long as it needed to be. $25. I didn't ask for it. Just here's your story. And luckily, the mom really loved it. And luckily, the kid had a huge digital footprint, so I could go online and look him up and see what he liked, what kind of person he was, watch his YouTube, so I could get a feel to who he was. And then I made him a hero, where he ends up, because he loved baseball, go into this alternate universe where he gets to save the world with baseball, basically. And it's really, she liked it. She was presented to her on her birthday. She read it in front of the entire crowd, and luckily everyone liked it. But that was the most stressful. I can't say the weirdest, but it was the most stressful because, oh my God. Okay, yeah, no stress. And I pretty much got rid of my Patreon shortly after that because I just can't. That was too stressful.
Yeah, wow. That killed your Patreon.
Killed my that. In fact, I had like maybe 3 people on it. I felt so. I don't know about you, but Patreon stresses me out. I feel like I need to put something on every day, and oh my God, I just don't have it in me. can't be funny all the time, and I can't do it, and so I let it go. I always felt really bad about that. So
that was funny because we were just talking off the air about TikTok and how much we all want to do more on there, but the pressure.
It's intimidating. These people have got talent. They're obviously actors. They've obviously got some stuff behind it. I don't know how the hell they do it because I don't have it in me. I just don't.
Well, Regine is excited today. He says condensed panel today going to be great. I agree. We have a really great topic, everybody.
Yeah.
So there was an article that was posted by my friend Vanessa. She sent it out to the group one of the groups that I'm in, and I read it and I said, "Wow, this would be a really great topic to absorb." Very interesting perspective. I highlight the link is in the description. I'll post it right here too, so that everybody can go grab it if they want to grab it while we're talking, I guess. Let me grab it real quick. I probably should have done that earlier. Sorry, everybody. Nothing like dead air. When there's only 3 of us. But, all right, here's the link to the article for everybody in the chat right now. But it was a interesting blog article about offering help as a writer and what that means, what you as the person receiving that help should anticipate and expect and appreciate about it. And she did it from her own perspective and kind of hindsight 2020 kind of idea as well. And I found it very fascinating. It was very well written. Often when I get these blogs, we're usually making fun of them, and I don't think I would make fun of this article here today. It was super impressive. It's super well written, and it was really enlightening because it made me think about, has that happened to me, and how did I react early on in my life, in my career? And I was just curious what the two of you thought when you read it.
I was definitely the for the reasons for deflecting offers of assistance, I was the don't want to look foolish person, the too proud, insecure. I was like, ouch. You don't have to like aim it right at me. But yeah, a lot of times if someone's offering advice or offering to help, I'll turn it down just because I don't want to admit that I could, use that. I don't want to have them see something that's in the early stages and be like, what is this? Like, how did you get published? I don't want that. So yeah, it's a little intimidating sometimes when someone, especially if it's someone you look up to or someone who's got more experience than you, offers to help. You're like, should I take that? Because like they probably going to tear it to pieces or something. I don't know. So I definitely have been that person before. I've also been the don't want to bug you person and don't want to be needy person. So yeah, they just basically put down all of my reasons for not accepting help on their neat little list there.
Well, one of my proudest achievements so far is I'm one of the founding members of the Nashville Writers Group. We started it back in 2004. It was 4 people who hung out at the Cafe Coco's coffee house, and it was on meetup.com, and we started it, and it's now over 200 people. So I took care of a lot of those. I did speculative fiction, I did horror fiction, I did science fiction, I did regular fiction. My regular fiction group was all the genres, which was really great because I had people who were writing horror who were also looking at people who were just writing general literary fiction. And I loved it. It's one of my really favorite experiences because I got to help other people and not only get helped, because the point of the meetups was you brought your work and it was a safe place. This is a safe place. I was a moderator who kept things safe. And you brought your work, and they critiqued it as much as they could over, you're at a coffee house, for crying out loud. You read the work, and we discussed it. And you got to meet other writers. And it was such a really, really great cathartic moment for a lot of people, especially people new to the craft, people who had just given themselves permission, because I hate the word young writers. People instantly think that they're like young as an age, and that's not true. We had a lot of people in their 50s and 60s, even 70s, who had just now given themselves permission to be creative again. And they would bring their work, and they were scared. There were several people, so we'd be at our little table doing our bits, and I would see somebody like walking around us, like just walking and checking us out, and I could tell, are you here for the writers group? And they'd be like, yeah, I just wanted to check you guys. Come on, we're not going to bite you. Come on over. And you make friends, and it's so much fun. And for me as a writer and as a teacher, I got to watch these people grow. And some of them grew as writers and actually became published. Some of them just wrote for fun, which is perfectly fine. You do not need to write to publish. You're writing to write, to get your memoirs out, just to do whatever. It doesn't matter as long as you're creating and you're enjoying it. And I made a safe space. All my places were safe. So I loved it. And I always had so much fun meeting people and helping them, and them helping me as well. I learned so much from everyone else's work as much as they learned from me.
That's awesome. I love that. That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, something that online has really cultivated a little bit too,
Oh, yeah.
The opportunity to find like-minded folk and kind of group together. I know
like all the fan fiction groups.
Yeah.
I mean, that
fiction, more like writers groups, like Facebook groups with writers and things like that. Amy and I are in her publishers group, and that for a while was really prominently, doing a lot of advice stuff, and there was a lot of good chatter in there. And
I think they're working on a lot of stuff in the background right now, getting ready for stuff. Because I know that Mandy's asked a lot of questions about like what you'd like to see from them. So I think they're working on things.
What group is this?
Right Askew.
This Mandy Lynch?
No, Mandy Mellinson.
Okay, about to say there's another woman I know, Mandy Lynch. Avoid her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the other thing about it too, right? Is like you got groups like 20 books to 50K. And,
yes.
And these giant groups that are so huge that it's like being in an airport, and trying to figure out what your flight is.
And you're screaming into the void. Yeah.
It's there's just so much, and then one post gets traction that is like trash, like people just trashing on each other,
because they can do this with the anonymous, because they're behind a screen. Luckily, you can't do that in person. Again, this was before the pandemic.
And then that one buries all the other important ones that you're looking for, and it's so hard to navigate sometimes. So in-person things are still really effective for that reason, because you've got that connection right there, and you've got their time, you've got their ear.
I've always found the in-person ones much more beneficial for me, because again, I get lost in all of the waves and all of the chatter and stuff. I don't do a lot of the online book things. I have friends that I met through National Writers Group, and we still hang out together, and we talk each other off the ledges, which is what we basically do mostly, is talk each other off ledges, which is what's great to meet other writers who understand what you're going through, who don't think you're crazy, who help bolster your creativity and your dreams and your desires, and will also really be there for your achievements. So it's really hard. I met a lot of people who will publish a book, and then it's just people, well, how much money did you make?
Yeah.
Well, none. But what's your Amazon author ranking? I finished a freaking book. Do you have? And people don't know how hard it is to finish a story. And I will be there going, high five, man. I understand what you went through, and you've got to have that. You've got to have that person. However, there are some pitfalls in live groups, because you will have those people who come because they want to be, who want to shit on you, who want to make you feel bad so they can feel better, or who'll push their stuff. And you have those guys, you have the jerks, but that's why you've got a moderator there to go, you out. No. Or my experience, some crazies, because ours was an open group. I mean, anyone could come in, and we had some crazies. There was a couple of people, whenever I saw they were coming, I'd always make sure two of my really big guy friends were there, because I was scared of this guy. I was afraid of him. So I always made sure Vincent or Nikki was going to be there, just in case this guy because I knew that he was a schizophrenic who was off his meds. His wife contacted me and said, watch out for my husband. He doesn't take his meds. I said, yeah, I figured he was something because he's a nut. So, yeah. So that is a problem. But, I'd say like 2% to 98% you're going to find just basic guys, people who want to help you grow. And it's a really, really wonderful experience.
Yeah. Anita also agrees. She says that's why she always goes to her local writers group for advice instead of online. And you mentioned the pitfalls, but there is also something that this article doesn't really address that I was seeing in comments when this article was posted, and I was nodding, and that is the idea of two detrimental things. One, the person that offers you advice that thinks they know everything.
Oh, yeah.
That they know you, but by just walking up to your table and have never met you, but will give you advice on how your table's set up, or how how you present yourself, or what you should do with this book or that book, why you only have one book, you should be writing. There's such a vast majority of things that these people say to you. So you have to be able to, filter that with a grain of salt, and you have to know what is going to be good advice for you. But the one thing I will say about those kind of people too is you got to treat everybody with kindness and not get a confrontational, because that's kind of what they're looking for. They're kind of looking for that fight. They're kind of looking for you to kind of get in their face and make an ass of yourself, and just let him or her make an ass of themselves. Don't join the group.
They tend to have high ego, low self-esteem.
Yeah.
They think they're all of this, but deep down they know their shit, and they want to get into a fight with you. Oh, I know them. I've had them. I've dealt with them, and they're usually very sad people.
The very first book conference I went to, book festival I went to, where I was selling, I have one book, and somebody goes, "Why do you have so many copies of your book?" Because I said I only have one, and I want to make sure people know that I have plenty. And he's like, "You should just put one out and don't worry about it. And you should be writing as you're doing this, because you don't have enough stuff on this table." And I was like, "Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much."
Bye-bye.
Good luck. Have fun. I'm glad to have talked to you. Thank you.
Yes,
I know who you are. So
you may piss off now. Oh, I had a group once where the woman came in and she brought her book, and she was just like, "Hi, you don't know me, but I'm a New York Times bestseller. They just don't know it yet. Here's my book. Here's my book," and gave her book to everyone. And this woman has become kind of a legend in our group because her book is terrible. And I bought it, so I can say this. I spent the $7, and it is awful. I actually met a couple people who tried to edit. She wouldn't do it. She won't accept editing because she lets it flow holistically through her. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, whatevs. Because my biggest thing I hate NaNoWriMo. The reason I hate NaNoWriMo is the December after NaNoWriMo is when all the Nano people would come to my group with their book. And I'll say, and one, usually it was like handwritten. I am not reading handwritten stuff. I ain't got time for this. Two, they're expecting me to pat them on the head and tell them that's a very pretty, pretty pony. And I'll say, okay, this is a really cool idea. Go rewrite it. They don't understand that this is, cool first draft. Have fun with the next 5. Because they don't understand that writing is rewriting. You write your first draft, it's your Play-Doh draft, and these are people who are just new to the craft, and they don't understand that the thing you see on the shelf is not the first thing that came out of that writer. They worked, not only them, but their editors and the content, and then you had all the line editors, all the editing. And they don't realize all the steps that go into
beta readers. There's more than
beta
one
readers. I actually got into a bit of an argument last week with a person on a hike who was like, getting published is nothing. All you got to do is write something. You can publish it anywhere. That's true. You can. It's crap. And it makes everyone else who out there actually doing the work, using editors, using beta readers, actually going through the process of, and then independently publishing. It's a whole different thing than vanity or self-publishing. Because that's just because your mommy has told you you're a pretty, pretty pony and you just toss down to the world. Which is fine. That's what you want to do. But
this is my fear. This is my fear for Kindle Vella. This is why
I'm
not a fan of this right now, because I have a fear that this is going to set the self-publishing industry back another 5 years, just like when everybody first got into ebook, and it's going to be big. It's going to be around. And I'm waiting for it to weed itself out a little bit, and then maybe I'll look at it again. But right now, I'm not jumping into a pool of 400 million people who are just throwing stuff on there just to throw stuff on there.
Right. It just muddies the pool.
I don't have a story idea for any kind of serial right now, so I'm not going to force a story out just to get in on the ground floor with this. I'm going to watch and see how it plays out, kind of like Joe, see if the things filter through. Like, okay, all the little fanfic writers have done their thing, and all the people who wrote it like it was a blog and stuck it on there and didn't do the editing and process and everything. They're going to be on there. They'll get weeded out, filtered through, and then I can take my time and produce something decent, and and consider
professional.
Putting it,
Yeah, and figure out, and also you doing that, you'll figure out what works and doesn't work too, and if your story is worthy enough to get some kind of eye play on it. Look, audiences aren't going away. I mean, it's not like you're going to miss the train if you don't get on it right now. I mean, there's another one coming, and there is another one after that, and another one after that, and I do think that a lot of times with Amazon, because they're so money hungry, that they throw these ideas out there and they just put them out there, and they don't beta test them, they don't run through them.
They don't care.
This one got a little bit of that through KDP. They went and solicited some people to try it out and things like that, but they do very little to understand the culture that they're about to invest in, and so this is a money grab play right now. I mean, I'm already seeing on TikTok people going, go on Vela and do this and do that, and you'll make $1,000 a month, and it's just like those things. They've got to police those things out, and Amazon will eventually, because enough people will tell them about it. But it's going to take some time, and I just think the infant stage that this thing is in is scary right now, and I'm not gonna get swallowed up by it. That's just the thing about it, and that's my personal take on it. But the other thing I wanted to mention about, not the article doesn't mention, is the group thing, the group dynamic, and asking for help is a wonderful thing, but the amount of stupid questions that you get, and there are stupid questions, or I don't care what it is, but the amount of stupid questions you get when people walk up to you and want to ask you, they'll ask you, how much money have you made?
Yes.
You already mentioned that one. When's your next book out? Well,
how long did it take you to write this book?
Right.
As long as it took. Every book is different. It isn't like having a baby. I don't just input it in, 9 months later it comes popping out.
It doesn't grow in 9 months.
Yeah, it just depends upon the book. And people don't really understand that, but yeah. But my biggest it's the money.
Or here's my favorite one, right? When somebody comes up to you and goes, How do you write a book? I've got this great idea for a book. You think you could write it? If I give it to you, will you write it for me?
Yeah, I get that a lot too. I've got this great idea. Look, you write it and I will share 50-50. If I write this book, I'm getting all the profits because I wrote the book. I actually once had my day job, it got out that I was a writer. And this guy came up to me and said, Joe, you're a writer. I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, I've written this book. Will you read it and tell me how I can get it published? Oh, yeah, sure. So he gives me it. But he has it all, printed out. And it's not a book. What it is he's taken a lot of articles from the internet and slapped it into basically almost like a chat book. And I said, you can't publish this. This is plagiarism. You will get busted by Dr. Oz. I mean, you will get busted. You can't. But I really want to tell people about my story. Then write your story. It was about his fighting with some sort of bowel disease. And well, then write your story with your bowel disease. Write how you overcame it. Write your story. Don't pull all these other stories off the internet and slap it into a book. He got really angry with me and called me a snob and said, you just think you're too good to help me. I said, trust me, I do not think I'm too good. I am the queen of imposter syndrome. I do not think I'm too good. I'm simply telling you, you can't publish this. No, you cannot. This is simply plagiarism. You can't do it. that it was. Yeah, I don't see him. He doesn't talk to me anymore. But yeah,
Probably a good thing to be honest.
I just felt bad for the guy. I mean, he didn't understand. I've also had people come to my group. I remember one time when we came to my group, first time, never seen her before, and she sat there the entire time just clapping her nails on the table, getting more and more angry. And then at the end, she just slammed her fist down and said, "But what is the formula? What is the formula? How do I do this? What's the formula?" And I'm just like, "Oh, okay. So what genre are you writing? I'm not telling you my story idea. You'll steal it." And I'm like, "Bitch, I got voices all in my head. I don't need yours. I don't need your story. But if I want me to help you, you got to give me some." And she just started pounding again, crazies. You get the crazies. And she scared the hell out of me. I was shaking. I was so angry when I left that night. But the deal is, there is no formula. Do you ever have that? People come to you and ask you, "What's the formula?" There's no formula,
How do you write
sweetie.
a book? Can you tell me how to write a book? I have an idea, but how do I write it? I don't know. What I love is when people ask me I've got an idea for a children's book. How do I write it? I'm like, have you heard what I write?
Yeah.
What makes you think I can tell you how to write a children's book?
When I tell people writing really is just sitting, you sit and you write. And a lot of people will bring their precious little babies to the group. And when you tell them the first 2 chapters, okay, your story starts here. These 2 chapters toss. You don't need those. But I work so hard. Last night I used to keep them in a box. But this is where your story starts. And they don't understand that. They want to keep their precious babies. Yeah, that happens a lot. That happens a lot. But I do my best to help those who really, really want to work. You'll get those. I remember I took a class in college, and it was a creative writing class. And the class started out with 50 people. It was 50 people. And I started going to school. I was like in my 30s. So I'm like the same age as my teacher. So it was 50 people. And the first day of class, he started out with, "I'm going to tell you guys this right now. I made $10,000 and I've been writing for like 10 years. You will not make any money at this. If you're in this to make money, you will not make money." And that's how we started the class. And the next class, there was 25 people. The next class, there was 10. At the end of that semester, it was 5 of us. 5 of us stupid bastards that stayed. It was a great class. He was a great teacher because he did not mince words. He says, you're doing this for money, you're going to get screwed. This is not the place to make money. And that's what I often tell people that come to my groups. I've had people come to my groups, and the first thing they want to know is, how do I make $1 million? I had one guy keep me after the group to ask me, "I've got to make $1 million. I need $1 million. I got to sue my parents." Ah, dude, seriously. I can't help you, man. I sure as hell can't help you. They wonder how you make $1 million, and I try to get them to understand, don't worry about that. Don't write the story first. Then worry about publishing it and finding an agent and doing all that. Write the freaking story. Do you guys ever have people contact you and say, "I've got this idea for a story. Here's the story." Bleh. And you go, "Hey, that's pretty cool. Well, do you think it's a hit? Do you think it's hit? Do you think it'll make money?" "I don't know. Write it. You'll find out." "But I can't write it unless I know it's going to be a hit." Well, sweetie, no one knows. No one knows what's going to work. You have no idea what's going to work.
Yeah.
And you might have a great story, and it gets out there, and for whatever reason, it just makes a little ripple, and you never hear from it again. I have a friend who is a brilliant author. Brilliant. He's lousy in marketing. He cannot do an interview to save his freaking life because he's extremely shy. He's just very introverted. But he is so brilliant, and his stories are great. But I've done shows with him. I've done, go to festivals and stuff. And he just sits back there in a corner. Well, his books don't sell because you've got to be out there pushing you, but you've got to put on the show. You got to have the face. And he doesn't do it. And it's really sad his books don't sell because he's freaking brilliant. And I'm always pushing his books. So it's being a writer is more than just writing words. You've really got to be a bit of a show person. You've got to be out there and put the face on.
That's a business.
And the business. As we were talking earlier in an earlier show, a lot of small presses don't want to be a press. They want to be a clubhouse.
Yeah.
And that's been my experience.
Yeah.
A lot of small presses, they just want to have fun. And they don't want to do the business part, like, making the royalty statements, actually paying people, which would be nice. Or I noticed when I would see them at cons, and I'm like, you got all your books. How come my books aren't out there? You got 7 books of mine. Why aren't they on your table? You got all your books on your table. Why aren't my books on your table? Yeah, I didn't stay with that house very long.
Yep. Regine says being an author is more than putting words down. Yes, it is. Absolutely.
It is. You've got to be a showman. You got to be.
Yeah, and the other thing about it too is you know, I don't want to discourage people from asking those questions and things like that. I mean, look, if that's what your aim is, that's your aim. But there is ways to get there. You just you got to do the research. You got to do the work. You know, there's no
magic pencil.
There's no answer to how do I just spit it out and it becomes a gold bar. There's no answer to that question. It doesn't exist. It's, you know, as I always love to quote my friend Katie Salidas, who says it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. And I truly think that is a very apropos statement you know, there's nobody, you know, it's very, very rare that a person is born into being, you know, an overnight success. It's not. And the thing about that is, if they were an overnight success, they were that for a flash of time.
Yeah, then you never see them again.
And either that, or they work hard to maintain that or get it back. You know, they get hungry.
I have no idea. Don't know that wonderful gift of suddenly being great. I think if you just suddenly produce something and it was really wonderful, I think you would appreciate the work.
Yeah,
it's hard to write a really good story that works. That's the big thing.
It's hard to write a story, period. Whether it works or not, it's hard to write a story.
It's hard to write it. And people don't realize how. I took again back in college class, and it was a creative writing class, and there was this person who said, "Writing's easy. It's no big deal." And again, this is a creative writing class in college, which are basically those crap easy A classes people would take, and I'm taking it because I want to learn about writing. And I just remember just giving that guy the death look. And later that day, the professor took me aside and asked me to be kinder on my reviews and my critiques, because I was critiquing at a professional level. And I'm like, I'm sorry, these people want to be writers, right? He goes, no, they're here to get an easy A for a crap English course. I'm like, see, I didn't realize that. I'm stupid. I took this class thinking, oh, these are also people want to be writers. No, this is just one of those crib courses. Not in my world. In my world, I'm here to learn how to write, which I'm not a big fan of creative writing classes, mainly because of that experience. You can't learn how to write. You just have to write. Read a lot and write a lot. That's how you learn how to write.
And they're very formulaic, and your friend.
Oh my God! I had to write literature. And they won't let you write genre. They won't let you write anything. It has to be all literature, metaphors. Sprinkle the metaphor like pepper. I'm like, God damn it! I want to write. Can I write just a fun story? You know? Nope. It has to be metaphor. I'm like, God. Fine, I can do that. I can metaphor all day long, but I'm not going to have any fun at it. So.
And you know, Amy, I saw a post on Redisque. I won't say by who, and people can go find it if they want. I just don't think it's my place to say by who, but somebody wrote a post about being frustrated about how, you know, they're offering help and people are not reciprocating it and accepting it correctly, or not you know, or feeling like they were being used, and they were feeling like you know, the idea is that, you know, people just don't know how to really absorb it and take it in and be, you know, and this article touches a lot on that as well. And it's kind of interesting to me because, like, I found that group, like we were just saying earlier, I found that group very, very, very warm and very embracing and very informative in a lot of respects too. There was a lot of great chatter going on, and there's a lot of groups that I'm involved with that are just basically stamp holders for here, buy my book and all that crap.
I hate those.
You know, but there are also groups that are engaging and have engagement and talk and go through it. And I was curious from your perspective, you know, how much you got from the group, and I'm sure you saw that post, but you know, it's like, it can get frustrating if you're providing advice and the people are just kind of like not, engaging it, and they just say,
Yeah.
oh, whatever, or worse yet, nobody is embracing the idea that this is a warm space and that we want to have conversations, right? So
Yeah, I think some, especially new authors or authors who are just for their first time getting it in with a traditional publisher or something like that, even if it's a small indie pub, I think they're leery of getting help because they think, "Ooh, I got a publishing deal, so I don't need help," and that's not always the case. So I think some of it is, people thinking they know more than they do and not being willing to accept, not necessarily just accept help, but accept the fact that somebody else does know more than you or has more experience. They think I've gotten this deal, so I'm the shit and everything. And I don't know. I think the group is nice. It's great. You learn a lot, but some people, they ask things that is a little presumptuous, I think.
Yeah.
One person, again, we're not going to name names here, but one person in the group asked how to set up an audiobook for their book. And the publisher's like, if it's the book that you got with us, we've got the rights to that. And there's XYZ that has to be met before it can be done. And it's like, this person just assumed they could go out and hire their own narrator or something to get it done. And that's not how it works when you've got a publishing deal. And they weren't, the way they asked the question, and I say that kind of like in air quotes, because it was more like, tell me how to get what I want done, not what do I need to do to get this done. Yeah. So, but it's kind of like, you've got to accept that it's not necessarily the way you think it is. You've got to learn how it really is to be able to get what you want done. You can't just say, I want this, give it to me.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's a frustrating thing for people because we're a society that instant gratification, right, is like the most, rewarding thing for humans at this point. And it's like, some things require patience. Some things require time. Some things require work. The one thing I will say about anybody who's gotten a publishing deal, if you just think that's it, you're done. You are sadly mistaken. And I guarantee you, if you treat it like that and you look and number one, probably you're going to start yelling at the publisher because your expectations are way beyond anybody else's, and that publisher's going to dump your ass.
Right.
And two, the other thing is if you don't do the work, the publisher's going to be more reluctant not to, bring you on again. And then then what? Where are you at then?
And they talk. Publishers talk. They're going to talk to other publishers. And you're going to get
especially if you're doing it from a convention standpoint where you're going from convention to convention. All the same publishers in that area attend all the conventions in that area.
Right.
You're going to run into the same 7 publishers every time. You're not going to find anybody.
And they talk.
And some people I have heard, they don't take the publisher's advice when it comes to editing and stuff. Mm-hmm. And these are people who really, the publishers, there's a reason they're the publisher. If they tell you something for your story, consider it at least. Don't just be like, no, I'm not changing anything, because that's not how that works either.
No,
nobody. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, no. And if you're lucky enough to have a publisher that you work with in tandem and have a give and take for, you've got magic, you've got gold. And, that's what that's what you're looking to do. Be with a publisher. That is, if
it's
you're
great.
Give and take, and they're giving as good as you're taking, and they're taking as good as they're giving. You couldn't ask for more. I think that's the perfect combination, the perfect formula, because it allows you the freedom to do what you need to do, but it also gives them the right to run their business and run it the way that they know how to run it. And you have to trust in that aspect of it as much as they trust in your aspect of creativity. Mm-hmm. And if there's that dual trust, you're in a good spot, and you should stay there, and you should work to stay there.
Right.
That's I guess that's my a little bit of advice. I don't know.
You find that golden egg, don't break it. Okay.
Yeah. Don't fix it if it ain't broken, right?
Don't fix it.
All right. Well, we'll come back and talk a little bit more, but I'm going to go ahead and jump into this indie connection because it's a very interesting one this week.
Okay.
It's CL Cannon jumping out of her comfort zone a little bit and doing not it is still her comfort zone, but she's going with some indie comics this week. So
Oh, cool. Okay, good.
we'll be right back.
Hey guys, CL Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another Indie Connection. And this week, I've got something very special for you. Instead of doing indie books, we're going to be doing indie comics. So this week, I'm going to be showing you some indie comics that you might enjoy if you're a fan of Hellboy. The first comic I have for you is called Ichabod Jones, Monster Hunter by Russell Nolte. Ichabod is a mental patient who has been convicted of killing many innocent people, but when he awakens in the apocalypse, he may just be the best hope for humanity to survive. If only he knew whether the hell beasts he slaughtered were real or existed only in his mind. Can Ichabod become the hero the world needs, even after society decided they didn't need him? Or will he devolve into the animal people always accused him of being? The second comic I have for you is called Dark Ark by Cullen Bunn, Mike Martz, and Wando. The wickedness of mankind has moved the Creator to destroy the world by way of the flood. Noah has been tasked with building an ark to save his family and the animals of the world. But this is not Noah's story. For darker powers have commanded the sorcerer Shrey to build his own ark and save the unnatural creatures of the world, such as the vampires, the dragons, the naga, and the manticore. But what will happen on a vessel crawling with monsters, where insidious intrigue and horrific violence are the rule of law? The third comic I have for you is called The Many Deaths of Lila Starr by V. Ram and Felipe Andrade. With humanity on the verge of discovering immortality, the avatar of death is fired and regulated to the world below to live out her now finite days in the body of 20-something Lila Starr in Mumbai. Struggling with her newfound mortality, Lila has found a way to be placed in the time and place where the creator of immortality will be born. But will Lila take her chance to permanently reverse the course of future history? Or does a more shocking fate await her? The fourth comic I have for you is called Lumen by Tony McMillan. Esteban Vela is a young man surviving in the world of endless night known as the Noctera, where he sees what looks to be a falling star, but that turns out to be a strange suit of armor replete with a skeleton occupant inside that turns to dust when Esteban removes the helmet. Donning the armor for himself, Esteban finds that the suit and the lantern that come with it are fueled by lumen, a glowing substance that is the most precious commodity on his planet because not only does it bring light to a sunless world, but it also allows plants and other life to grow. With the power of the suit, Esteban makes his way through the Noctera as a scavenger and gets involved with a science witch named Detta, who enlists him on a heist to capture a lumen hoard located in a long-abandoned southern castle. The castle has been left alone because besides the trove of lumen hidden inside its walls, it also houses the one other thing that thrives in the dark of Nocturna: fungi, a race of monstrous fungus creatures that prey on the few humans left living in the dark of the New World. But Esteban thinks he'll manage fine. He's got the suit, and that new apple owl creature that the science witch has fashioned for him. Besides, he's almost 15 years old now. He's not some kid. And the last comic I have for you is called Dead at 17 by Josh Howard. Nora Kilday's life is that of a typical teenager, until the night of her tragic murder. As her best friend Hazy attempts to cope with the senseless tragedy, Nora's diary surfaces, revealing her secret struggle with dark, unseen forces. Before Hazy can begin to uncover the truth, she finds herself pulled into an ancient, supernatural conflict that has now spilled over into the physical world. At the center of it all is Nora, miraculously resurrected to new life and a new purpose. With nothing less than the fate of humanity in her hands, Nora and Hazy will face the worst that life and hell has to offer. Their epic journey will take them beyond our world into the danger and mystery of the next. Okay, that's all for me this week. I'll see you next week on The New Connection. Bye.
All right, and thank you to CL Cannon, and go check those out. All the links are there for all of those. And Regine says, comics or graphic novels, is there a difference anymore? I think there's still a difference. But it's, I think most of those were probably graphic novels, if we're being honest. But I just think that graphic novels are really longer comic books, right?
I think it's how they're formatted. Yeah. I mean, I don't know the terminology. Too bad Eric isn't here. He could tell us the terminology. But because I think there's like trade copies, and then you got just the paper, the little single copy. I don't know.
Well, comics typically have a formula of 24 pages, certain, and as certain amount of panels on each thing, and all of that, and graphic novels can go beyond that 24 pages. And I think that, so if you're doing anything that's beyond 24 pages, and a lot of those are collections too. So like that last one was all the comics put together into one volume.
Like a trade. Okay.
So I think that there's that as well. So those were probably originally individual comic issues that he merged together and brought together as one, which, is not a bad idea either. I mean, look, we were just talking about Vella. That's basically Vella in putting all your serials together and putting them in one thing. And it makes me wonder why Kindle didn't go after the comic book folks and introduce them to Vella first, because I think for them that would probably be more advantageous than for authors. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thought, I guess. But, anyway. One last thing I wanted to talk about before we take off here and enjoy the rest of our weekend and day. So I was curious, when you were starting out, what was some of the best advice that you received, and did you take it the way you were supposed to take it, or did it take you some time to look back? Maybe you look back on it and go, you know what, if I had heeded that advice then, or if I had thought that advice was worthy then, is there anything that pops in your mind for that in that respect?
Man, I thought everything was I took everything so personally when I first started, like when I first got with Red Askew and they sent through the editing and everything, I was like, they'd single out all the adverbs or single out all the passive voice. I'm like, oh, well, that's what I wanted to use there. And now I go through, I look through that and I'm like, oh, that does need fixing.
Yeah.
But at the first, everything that's your baby and your little thing you're holding in your hand here, like, this is what I created. You've got to keep creating it until it's finished. You can't just take your little baby and put it out in the world. You gotta finish it. And that was hard for me to get used to, because I thought it was done. I mean, they came to me, they wanted to publish my book. Okay, cool, it's great. What do you mean I gotta fix it?
Yeah. I had a teacher once took me aside and said, everything you write, everything, even if you were to write about kittens, there's just this thin line of anger in everything you write. And then I wrote this story for class, and he's like, so this story kind of threw me off, because why are you writing about, to me, it reads like a Jewish suburban mom, and it's boring, and it's not your voice. And he was the one person who told me, always, find your voice, trust your voice, because you can't write like anyone else. You can only write like you. And that's fine. That's perfect. Find your voice. So I've always thought about that. One, about the whole thing that it is true. All of my stuff tends to have this weird underlying anger. I didn't realize how angry a person I was. In everything I write, there's some anger in there somewhere. But something that I did find when I did all the things for the Nashville Writers Group was getting people to find their voice. When I would read their story, and I would tell them, hey, that's a really good voice. And they thought that I meant their reading voice. And I had to explain to them, no, the voice of the story. And I think that's a weird magical term. A lot of people don't understand that stories have a voice, and you have to find that voice. So for me, when the teacher told me how you need to find your voice, find your voice and stay true to your voice.
And it sans genre and it sans subject matter, because you will layer what your voice is in there, or what the story's voice is in there, regardless of what you're writing. And which is very funny to me, having made the comment I made to you earlier off air about your TikTok. And Nikki told this incredible story on TikTok. Everybody, if you're on TikTok and you're not following Nikki, you should be. But you should be following AJ too, because she does some really cool.
And we're all on TikTok, all of us, yes.
but she told this wonderful, heartwarming story that was very surprising to me, having spent so much time talking to Nikki about darkness and occult and things like that. And she told this very heartwarming story, and it was really well done, and she did a really great job. And I told her I was highly expecting like there'd be this twist at the end, like he's buried in my backyard, and he's now blooming roses or something. But she doesn't. That, spoiler alert, that's not how the story ends.
You're not the only person. I've sent memes to people or things to people, like videos, and they're like, I was afraid to open it because I was waiting to see something dead. No, it's just big puppies, it's kitties. I can be sweet, goddammit. So
But you know what that means, Nikki, is that everybody knows your voice, and you've discovered that, and you found that, and it's.
I know, but when I'm writing a story, until I call it like finding the vein. When I find that vein, whoosh, I'm gone. But I've got to find the vein, and usually it's the story, it's the voice of the story. And once I find it, the voice of the story, I'm gone. It's, hey guys, mommy's going deep for a while. Don't look for dinner for the next month because mommy's going to be going deep. She's found the vein. She's like a heroin addict, and now she'll be here writing the story until it's done. But luckily, my family understands this. My kids are both artists and creative. My husband just learns to deal. And hey, he married into this. He knew. Well, actually, he did. He had no idea. I am not the little thing he married. God love him. I'm not. I used to be very sweet. When you're married to someone for we met, I was 15, he was 17. I am definitely not that little 15-year-old thing he used to know. I am, motherhood made me mean. So it did. I used to be very nice. And motherhood, lack of sleep, and just fuck. So, yeah. Maybe that's why I'm so angry. I don't know.
Rebecca says, kicks out of the nest. Fly, bitch, fly.
Fly, bitch. Oh, you wish that would happen. Don't you? Just like, although sometimes, I knew a woman once, I swear to God, I was a member of a group, and she worked on this book for 10 years. 10 years. She would finish it, and we're like, yay, great, you finished it. And this, no, and she rewrite it. She rewrote that book for 10 years. And it was like, I am so sick of reading this story. Can you
have to know the sweet spot. That's the thing that I've had the hardest thing to learn, was knowing the sweet spot, because I'm that person too. Like,
well, for her, it's because this story was actually kind of therapy for her. She was using it kind of therapy to get over a rape that she had endured. And when I learned that, then I was, oh shit, I'm a bitch. No, I understand that now. But at the same time, man, can we work on something else now? Just something. But she finally did. She finally finished it, and she published it, and it's out there. And now she writes romance, and it's great. It was, again, writing can be extremely cathartic. I truly believe that writers are either trying to kill or save the same person over and over and over again. So once she finally got that out, and that helped her heal, now she writes lovely paranormal romances. So.
Yeah, for me, that's I will needle something to death and never release it until I feel like I had to learn how to find the sweet spot. The sweet spot. The
sweet spot. Because perfection is not. You can't get perfection. We're not gods. Yeah. So there's no perfection. It's as good as it's going to get. You usually feel it. Can't you feel it? For me, I can feel it. I can feel it. Okay, this is done. I just feel it. It's done.
I have to fight my better instincts on that one, but yes, I do know my angel, my devil will fight it out in my head, but the angel is winning more than the devil does.
There you go. You win.
So that's the whole thing about it. But like I've released stuff and I look at it and go, oh fuck, I see a mistake, and And what I've learned, the one way that I've used to combat that though is to embrace the things that I've done well. You know,
Yes.
In there, even in non-perfection, there's things in there that are perfect, and there's things that you've done nice and well, and you feel good about doing those things. So I've always looked at it going, you know what? If I was somebody critiquing my work that wasn't mine, I would try to look for the things that are good about it to tell them about that before telling them about the bad stuff. I would, because you want to feel good as much as you want to feel bad, and while I wouldn't sugarcoat the bad, at least I gave you some foundation of good that you can build off of. And
when I critique, I always try to give with the good parts, because there's always, usually, I've never had anything that was like, this is complete garbage. No, you give them the good things. This is what's really good. Oh man, I see what you're doing with this. These are the things that need to be worked on. And that's cool. That's the best way to do it. My sister-in-law is also an author, and she's also a teacher. I mean, professionally. So she's really good at it. I listened to her and kind of learned from her the best way, because in the beginning, I wasn't. In the beginning, I was much more blunt. Oh, man, here's 10 reasons your story sucks.
Me too.
So I don't do that anymore, because I understand. I mean, I've been on the other side now so many more times. I understand that sometimes a story just needs help. It needs help to be polished. And again, it's a writer, and they want. It's the ones who don't want, who want you to pet them on the heads. And there's the ones like, hey, I'll ask them, what do you want? Do you want a critique, or do you want me to give you a pat on the head? Which one do you want? Because some people just want a pat on the head, and that's cool.
Usually when you put it to them that way, they always go, "Oh, I want the critique," right?
And then you give them the critique, and sometimes they get pissed.
Yeah.
And then you're like, "Hey, this is what you wanted."
You don't know anything. You're wrong.
Well, I wasn't really trying all that hard. I'm like, obviously. But if you really want to make this story, because to me, a story is a thing is a thing outside myself. Well, okay. When I write a story, when I'm ready for it to be seen by others, that's when it's outside myself. My ego is no longer a part of it. And then I go, okay, yeah, that was stupid. Okay, we can fix this. That's cool. But when it's still a part of you, you're basically just kind of shoving your heart out on a plate and going, here, carve this up. No. For me, I often tell people, don't bring anything until you're ready for someone to look at it and tear it apart.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's really, really hard, especially for people who are new to the craft. It's hard.
And that's a product of being an introvert too. Sometimes is they don't take it the right way. They take it very personal, and that's hard. That's a hard thing to learn.
I'm just enough of a sociopath. I don't care. I'm just okay. But no, I want you to tell me. I don't. Again, that's when after the story's no longer a part of me. My ego is no longer a part of it.
I will say that anybody who asks me for a critique, an honest critique, I will give you good and bad, but I will tell you that it's never personal. Nothing's ever personal. I'm looking at it from a crafts perspective, and if you read my reviews, you'll see that oftentimes I do relate personally to things, and I gravitate to personal things too, but I also talk a lot about the craft and the nature of how it's being built and what I appreciate about that more than anything. So I will never, it's not a personal attack.
No, and I always tell them, this is your story. You may do whatever, you are God. You may do whatever you wish to this story. You can take my advice. A friend of mine who I really respect, he's gorgeous, he's wonderful, he writes some great stuff. He's up for a Stoker, for crying out loud. He sent me his latest story, and I gave him on my bits, and he was very I was really worried. But no, he said, no, thanks. That's what I wanted. I wanted someone to say, does this work? Does this not work? Should I move this here? I told him, move this paragraph to here, change that, explain to me why this happened. And some people want that, but again, it's not personal. And I tell people straight up, this isn't you. I'm doing the story. This is not you. And again, you're God. You may do whatever you wish. Take my advice. Don't take my advice. I don't care. I ain't getting paid for this.
She wants both. She wants the pat on the head and the good critique.
I just want to be told I'm pretty and given a donut. All I want. God, I want a donut so bad.
And she tells me now I can just blame my publisher when I find a mistake. Well, I can't do that either. But
I've done that. I
always put it on me. It starts and stops with me. Even if it is a publisher thing, it starts and stops with me. So.
Well, I was in an interview, and he asked me flat out, why are there so many with editing mistakes. I was like, bad editor, talk to the publisher. Once I gave it to them, I don't know what happened to it. So just, and editing is hard. So, and nothing's ever going to be perfect. I have seen stuff come out of the big 5 and there's editing problems. There's misspellings. There's words missing. Nothing's perfect.
And there's a lot of things that don't make any fucking sense too.
Oh, so much.
Give me a good game before you point out all the times I used very.
I had a woman actually send me a list and the number of times I used a word, which was very helpful. At the same time, damn, okay. Did you like the story at least?
Well, and Rebecca, we'll close with this. She says, "This is
yay!" Right? See, we helped, and that's what the purpose of this is to help and get those wheels to rolling. That's my thing. I need people to help me keep my wheels greased up and keep on rolling.
Well, if they need more help, Nikki, where can they go and get you at?
Again, there's my website, nhbooks.com. You can find me on all the socials. I am on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Google up NikkiNelsonHicks.com. My books are on Amazon. This is my latest, Stone Baby and Other Strange Tales. That's basically where I'm at. You can find me there, or go to my author page on Amazon, like it, and you can find me everywhere.
Nice. All right, AJ, how about for you?
I'm at ajmullican.com. I'm on Facebook at AJ Mullican Author. All the other stuff, just plain old AJ Mullican. You can find me anywhere. And I don't know. Amazon's been weird lately. They've been like, if you search for a book, you can't find it. And so they've got some big glitch going on. So don't give up if you can't find the book you want. Go to the author and say, where's your direct link so I can have it.
Yeah. Usually that's what a website is pretty good for, is you can go right there.
All my books are on my website and they have the direct link to the Amazon.
Not your Facebook page and any place that it has your information.
Yes.
Should somewhere have a link somewhere on there.
Yep.
So. I agree with you. Amazon's been really wonky about it.
It's been weird. And reviews. I've had 2 people tell me I put reviews down, that I go look it up and there's no review.
Oh, really?
So I'm like,
interesting. I haven't had that problem yet, because I've been posting a lot of reviews like crazy on people's stuff, and they usually post the next day. So
maybe it's just me. I don't know, but I haven't anything. So
weird, interesting. Well, maybe Amazon's holding it for some reason, and they're afraid to tell them.
That happens sometimes, especially if it's a fellow author. I've heard that. I don't know.
And Amazon won't give you a reason unless you ask them. That's the
weird. I'll find out then. Maybe I'll ask around. Okay.
Well, I'm Joe Compton. This is Going You Now. You're here, so you found us. Congratulations. And I'm going to give you the best author advice you'll ever get right now, and that's if you smash the like button and you comment and you share this video, hey, you'll get $1 million sent to you via the universe. Hey, let me know if it happens. That would be cool. If it does, then I could actually claim that as truth. But no, I'm totally kidding. Anybody who's watching this who's never watched us before, I'm totally kidding. You will not make $1 million by smashing the like button. But you'll help me out. You'll help the channel out. You'll help everybody who's here out, everybody who's around, everybody that this show is about out. So really appreciate that. And go check out all of the things that we've been talking about, all the movies, the books out there that we talked about today. Go check them out, because they're really worth it. Honestly, it's amazing array of talent that we come across each and every week, and I'm super just honored and humbled to do that and bring that to you. And because it's always time to journey now. And with that, we will say goodbye.